Now these margaritas are gonna come together totally from scratch, and it's gonna all be worth it. It starts with a watermelon. Your watermelon doesn't have to be quite this big. You could probably stick with just a personal sized watermelon and that would do. We're only gonna need to use about half of this. In addition to the watermelon, you're gonna wanna have some limes, some tequila, a little orange liqueur, and simple syrup. Don't be worried, simple syrup is very simple to make. I try. I'm gonna show you how to whip up a simple syrup on the stovetop in just a sec, but before we get into that, let me show you how to get into this melon. The first thing you wanna do is cut it in half. You might not be able to get this in one stroke, and that's okay. But you definitely wanna enlist your biggest, baddest knife for this task. That's a watermelon split right down the center. Ta-da! Okay, so I do not need this much melon. I am going to slice this up and put it in the fridge for the kiddos and save this one for the grown-ups. Okay, so now what we have to do is get it into manageable pieces so that we can cut it up into cubes. So I'm just going to continue cutting it in half, essentially. So I'm gonna cut it in half this way. Okay, looking good. Now I'm gonna cut that half into quarters, okay? And then I'll cut it again. Perfect. What we wanna do at this point is cut these quarters into slices. So just cut them into about 1-inch slices. All right, mama needs some room on the cutting board, so I am just gonna transfer my watermelon slices over to this great big bowl for now. Set that over here, and I'm gonna show you how we're gonna cut it into cubes. Those cubes are gonna go directly into the blender. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take my knife and I'm just kinda gonna trace just above the white part, the pith maybe of the watermelon. Set that over there, and then I'm gonna cut it into chunks, and those chunks are gonna go right into here. I'm just gonna keep going with the rest of the watermelon. Okay, once the blender is full, you are done cutting. You do not need any more watermelon than that. I'm just gonna set this cutting board aside and we will turn on the blender. Okay, pop on the lid and we're just gonna blend until it's nice and smooth and pureed. What we're gonna do next is strain it. And what this is gonna do is it's gonna remove all that watermelon pulp and we're going to be left with 100% juice. Tools you'll want to have for this: a sieve, a large bowl, and a whisk to help the watermelon through the sieve. Okay, so we're going to place the sieve over the bowl, pour that watermelon straight over the sieve. And because I am an incredibly impatient person, I like to take my whisk and just run it along the sieve and just really help that liquid to get through there faster. Okay, and then once you start to look really pulpy and it gets thick in here, you're done. Say goodbye to the sieve. Enough is enough. So we have a few cups of watermelon juice here. I'm gonna go ahead and transfer this to a pitcher to make it easy to pour. So the watermelon has been pureed, juiced, perfect. We're well on our way to a delicious watermelon margarita. Now we are going to whip up that simple syrup. For this, we're gonna have to move it over to the stovetop. To make a simple syrup, all you have to do is add water to a saucepan, followed by some granulated sugar. Turn it over medium-high heat, let it come to a boil, and as soon as that sugar has dissolved, your simple syrup is ready. Actually, wait. You have to let it cool before you can add it to a cocktail. So just set it aside, and once it's come to room temperature, you're good to go. All right, so I am going to bring this margarita together in a shaker first. Here's the reason I'm using the shaker. I want to be able to have a salted rim on my glass. If you have a salted rim on your glass and then you try to stir and mix up a drink inside the glass, it's very likely that your salt is just gonna go splishing and splashing over the side and then you're gonna lose it all. So I just use the shaker as an extra precaution. If you're not using a salt or sugar rim, you do not have to use the shaker. A spoon will do the trick. I'm just gonna take my shaker and fill it up with ice. First, into the shaker, we're gonna add the tequila. So I'm gonna add about 1.5 ounces of tequila in there. Now I'm gonna add a little orange liqueur. This is going to be optional. If you don't have orange liqueur or you don't wanna use it, that's totally fine. You can leave this out. 1/2 ounce of orange liqueur into the shaker. Now we all know that you cannot have a margarita without lime. So I am going to grab a couple of limes and just cut them in half, and then I'm gonna squeeze them in there. Okay, just cut that lime right in half. If you have a citrus juicer, now's the time to get it. Lovely. Next, I'm just gonna add a splash of my simple syrup, just a splash. That ought to do it. And then we're gonna add our watermelon. So now that we have all the ingredients in there, you're going to pop the lid on, make sure it's on there really good and tight, and give it a good shake. Perfect. Okay, now I said I was gonna do a salted rim, and I meant it. What I'm gonna do to get my glass ready for that salted rim is cut a lime in half. Then I'm gonna cut a lime right down the center. So each half gets a slit, but I'm not cutting through the rind. And then I'm gonna cut it into quarters. Okay, and what you have here now is a garnish, but you also have a little lip so that you can rub that all the way around and get that lime juice coating the rim of the glass. And you'll bring it over to your kosher salt, give it a little wiggle and a shake. And then you might pop off any excess there. And that is looking like a good salted rim to me. Okay, all that's left is to add ice to the glass. Give it one more shake and just pour it right over. That is a gorgeous color. I'll grab my lime, pop it right on the edge here. Watermelon margaritas are ready. Let's take a sip. This is so cool and so refreshing. It has everything that you know and love about a margarita infused with big watermelon flavor, and it is the perfect summertime drink. I hope that you guys will enjoy this recipe, put it to good use while you're lounging by the pool. Remember, if you like this video, give us a thumbs up, and don't forget to subscribe to theanthonykitchen.com for tons of great recipes for entertaining galore. And also, don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel, The Anthony Kitchen. Cheers! I'll catch you next time.